Welcome to the Tay and Todd Washington Commanders podcast. And Todd, we are finished with the draft, our first draft as Commanders fans, inaugural, first time. And I don't know about you, but I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad that the mock draft's over. I don't want to see another mock draft until next year around this time. But all in all, I like what we got. Added some key pieces. How you feeling?
So you're saying it's too early to do a 2023 mock draft?
Yes.
So if I had done one, you would judge me?
Not quite, but...
Okay. We don't have to talk about that. Tay, it's like you want the draft to happen, but then when it happens, you're excited about the fact that it happened, but then it's like, oh man, it's over. What do we talk about now? I guess we talk about the players we drafted. But I'm excited. It was a reminder in not being so quick to react, right? And waiting for the full picture before reacting, because after, after pick 16, there was a lot of reactions. After pick 47, there was a lot of reactions, and so on and so forth. When you look at the draft class as a whole, I like it. I don't know that I love it, but I do like it. So I am feeling good. And I feel like they have 3 or 4 guys that should be contributing day one. Whether or not they become good, great long-term players here remains to be seen. But players that will be on the field at positions where you need, I guess, depth. Not even really depth, but production or depth. So I feel good about that. How do you feel?
Yeah, overall, all in all, I really like the draft. I really like the draft class. I would even say more so than I did last year's draft class. I think, I don't know what their mindset was this year, but it seemed to me that they reached around before the person was supposed to be picked in order to make sure they got the guy they wanted. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
Even with with Mathis,
right,
second pick, he probably would have been there in the 3rd round, but there's no.
You don't know. Yeah.
So my thing is, if they hit on every single pick and they fit those schemes, is it really reaching? So I would just tell people to hold their judgments as far as the reaching and their judge. We're still trying to judge last year's draft class. So
right.
It doesn't happen overnight. But I do like the quality of guys. Most seniors, I think
they are mostly seniors.
Yeah, a couple juniors. So it seems like Ron has a plan, and he wants guys that are going to contribute right away. I know you tweeted out that the plus with this regime is that they like to let their rookies play early and often. Yeah. With the exception of Jamin Davis, because he just wasn't ready.
Right.
But I'm feeling good. I really like the draft class, and I'm excited to see. It seemed like they got tough football players, and I'm always excited when I see that.
Yeah. So I guess now we can just kind of go pick by pick, give some thoughts, maybe not our full thoughts, but just some quick thoughts on how we felt when the player was picked, about the player now, any concerns, anything that we're excited about. So I'll start it off with Jahan Dotson and say, honestly, Tay, the only real concern I have with Jahan Dotson is his 3-cone time. If you go back, and I've done this, so you can, if you go on like Pro Football Reference, it makes it pretty easy. But this was kind of something I'd known, picked up. I don't remember exactly where, but I picked it up. But you don't see a lot of really good wide receivers with 3-cone times in the 7.2s. He was a 7.25 3-cone. Now he's a good route runner. He's got solid releases. But Cole Turner, the tight end we drafted, ran a better 3-cone. Even Hodges, the tight end they signed as the undrafted free agent, ran a better 3-cone. So maybe it was just a bad rep for him. But if you go back and look, there's not a lot of guys that ran at that time that became good, and then you've got the ones who just didn't run it and became good. So maybe, but that's really my only concern. Other than that, he is not a slot receiver. He's a boundary receiver who can move inside and out, and I like what he brings after the catch. That compared to Chris Olave is better, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, he's the Penn State Olave. He's the Penn State Olave, and looking back on what they got along with him, I like the pick. What about you?
Yeah, originally, we were so fixated on the top four. You think of Jameson Williams, think of Chris Olave, you think of Drake London, who I really believe they wanted.
Right.
They were going to pick at 11. And then you thought of the other guy I think they wanted was,
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
But honestly, truth be told, it doesn't seem like they loved Olave.
Yeah.
Because if they did, they would have picked him.
Right.
I think they really like Dotson. I'm not going to say they like him better. Or I don't know the logistics of all that. However, I do think they liked him a lot. And I'm coming around to the pick. He has speed. Build up speed.
Yeah.
Where he's a track star.
I was going to say,
star. And that stuff matters. And you can see, you say, hey, man, he ran a 4.4. It doesn't look like it at all. This man, some of these plays, when he gets to the next level, he's just like gone. Like it looks 4.3. And in fact, I think he was clocked at 4.3 in some at Penn State. I think
Pro Day or something. Yeah, something. Yeah.
So I like the fact that he carries a football around.
Yeah.
I made a joke that, you always knew who was serious about in basketball when we were growing up. This guy always had basketball shorts underneath his pants, and he had a basketball in his hand. You knew he was about that work. So I just get a business mindset about him. I think he loves the game. And actually, I think he might be the first jersey I might get for a player.
Okay.
The white Dotson jersey is something that's intrigued me. And,
I
just like his game. I like he's like I don't know. I think he has more potential than Terry. If he can, I think he can just do more. Double moves. Inside.
That's a good point.
End arounds. I just think he can be very versatile, and I think he won't have a hard time picking up the offense either.
Yeah, and I think he'll get burned from day one. I think he's your Z. I think he's moving inside and out with Curtis Samuel. So I like that pick. I never hated that pick. Yeah. But I do like it. And on the Chris Olave thing, there's this talk about, they thought Olave would be there. I don't agree with that. Right. We may never know. Well, we may know someday. But they have clearly drafted their guys regardless of, where anyone else thinks they should go. If Olave was their guy, I believe they are taking him. And then I believe maybe if he slid to 16, then they say, this is even better. But I think they said, hey, we can take Olave or we can trade back and probably get Dotson. We'd rather trade back and get Dotson. If they really wanted Olave, they would have taken him. They wouldn't have said, we can move back 5 spots and for sure get him. That's not how these things go. So, all right.
They had to remain coy on that, because even if they did like Dotson a lot, it seemed like the Packers wanted
the Cardinals.
Cardinals, especially with this news dropping on DeAndre Hopkins right now.
Right. I would say Dotson was definitely going to be the guy to go to the Packers, the Cardinals, or the Chiefs and be lighting it up as a rookie. Oh, yeah. And everyone because, you look at Drake London, Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson. I think they're good players. I think they're all better prospects than Dotson. But you look at their, where they are. And obviously Wentz is no MVP, but Zach Wilson, Jared Goff, Marcus Mariota, So I think Dotson's in a better situation than those guys. Right. On to Fedarian Mathis. Now, this is the one that kind of made my jaw drop, Tate. Nakobe Dean was sitting there, right? And I said, okay, well, we got to be drafting Nakobe Dean. I didn't know too much about the health thing, which we'll see. The Eagles think he's fine. Other teams think he's not. But I was just, when you're expecting a name, 100%, and then Fedarian Mathis. So this was the one that got me. I don't love the value. Also, I think we're looking at it in the context of, hey, a few months ago, your defensive line depth, your rotation was fine. And then suddenly became this priority where you had to take someone in the top 50. And I feel like that wasn't the plan coming to this offseason. I don't know, why Tim Settle wasn't re-signed. As a whole, I don't love that. But I do think that you're banking on Fedarian Mathis being more than what Tim Settle was and being, really more than what Ioannidis was. You want him to probably replace Deron Payne. It didn't feel like a huge need to me to take in the top 50, but considering that he will play a good amount because they rotate their guys in and out. At the end of the day, if you're drafting good players, I can't complain. So, and then I see what they did afterwards, and they added more weapons. So, I don't dislike it as much as I did, but it's not my favorite pick. But we'll see. I know you're higher on him though, so definitely talk about it.
This might be my close to favorite, maybe my
favorite. Okay.
In a sense of it's a subtle move.
Yeah.
I think you said it right there. I view this spot, the third defensive tackle, as a key spot for Ron Rivera's scheme because they're going to get in and out. He's going to play a lot of snaps. I mean, whether you like it or not,
he will, for sure.
He's going to play. And you couldn't really bounce Tim Settle and Ioannidis in with that. It was just hard to do because then you're leaving Allen out, you're leaving Payne out, and then you have Tim Settle, and they weren't really producing. I mean, they produced a little bit, but Tim Settle had a bad year. You can say what you want. Matt Ioannidis had a bad year.
He did.
For what they're paying them, why not? And you got to also remember that they're not Ron Rivera guys. Ron Rivera is putting his culture in.
He is. I mean, apparently, Ioannidis was kind of butting heads, and so that could be part of that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so and they're not Ron Rivera didn't draft those guys. He's not entitled to keep those guys. And I granted John Allen fits the Ron Rivera mode. Deron Payne, I believe, fits the Ron Rivera mode. And then you got this guy Mathis. So I wouldn't. The reason why I like it is because it's an actual position. That third defensive tackle, he's going to get snaps.
Right. It's not really a backup position.
Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people look at it as, he's a backup. Yeah, he's a backup. He's going to get about 50% snaps.
Right, and that'll take us to our next pick, where it's kind of the same thing. Before we move on to Brian Robinson, week 1 of the season last year, first drive of the game. These aren't the D tackles. I'm not sure exactly who rotated in at D tackle or not, but 3rd and 10, your edges were Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams, I think. First drive of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't like that, Tay, right? In that situation, especially at edge, Chase Young and Montez Sweat need to be out there on a critical 3rd down of the first drive of the season, right? But that just speaks to how they are going to rotate guys, but more so at defensive tackle than at defensive end. So it's not a backup, position. He is, even though he is the 3rd defensive tackle, it's almost like being the 3rd wide receiver. Right. So when I look at it that way, 9 sacks. I don't, we'll see. I don't think he's gonna. I know you made a prediction. I don't know if you can talk about that if you want.
I said 9 sacks for him, but I'm gonna say 5+. I'll give him 5+, just because of his motor.
Yeah.
A lot of people can get sacks because not necessarily off of skill, but just because of how hard they work.
Yeah.
To me, he seems like a hard worker.
Yeah, and he can move. He's a hard worker, right? You said like Alabama and what was it? He's more of a run stuffing guy who can get after the quarterback, and we've heard them say we want to stop the run on the way the quarterback and all that sort of thing. So, all right, I don't hate that.
Also, he could play every technique. It seems like
he can play.
He could play 1, he could play 2, he could play 3.
Because he's not the biggest guy. He's like he's big, but he's not so big that he can't move around and run really. So. I don't dislike that pick as much. We'll see for sure on that one.
Visions of Jarvis Jenkins, but when
you say that, it doesn't make me feel better. I don't like that. Which brings us to our next pick. When you said we talked about the 3rd defensive tackle not really being a backup, Brian Robinson. Now this is me. I don't call it a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, whatever. But to me, Brian Robinson will not just be a short yardage back. To me, Brian Robinson will be the B to Gibson's A to start. And if the running game continues to lack explosiveness, if the fumbling continues, I think Brian Robinson is taking over your starting running back spot. He's not taking reps from McKissick. He's going to take reps from Gibson. And I don't really have a problem with that. But and then, Gibson was a 3rd round pick. Robinson's a 3rd round pick. So, and Robinson is a pure running back, right? So I think that we're going to see a decent amount of Brian Robinson earlier and not just on 3rd and short and 4th and short. I think if Gibson's getting 20 carries, I think Robinson's getting 8, something like that. I don't know. What do you think? And I like the pick. I will say I like the pick. I wanted them to add a running back, so I like the pick.
Yeah, I like this pick also. I know, and in a lot of mocks, I said, man, this dude's a bruiser.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if we picked him or not. I don't know if we ever picked him.
We picked him in one of them.
Okay. I thought so.
And that was the only guy we kind of got right for the most part.
Yeah. Dotson was not on our radar.
Well, my thing with Robinson is, yeah, he may come in there for some third down, but I think he's just too good to sit.
Potential is
I
real.
really believe that. Oh yeah, I mean, I just think that Gibson. I'm not gonna say he's on a hot seat, but he is coming up on a contract year after this year.
He's not on the cold seat.
He's not on the cold seat.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can't fumble, and Brian Robinson has that Bama attitude where
he does.
He's not coming in to be no third down back.
No. And
he's coming in to take the starting spot.
Right. That Alabama mentality is different.
Yeah, straight up. He reminds me. I'm not gonna say he's as good, but he reminds me of a Nick Chubb type of back.
Chubb at the weight.
He's not bad at pass catching.
No, he can catch. He had 300 receiving yards.
Bruh, he might be a all down back, a 3-down back.
And in pass protection, I've seen good reps from the Senior Bowl. I've also heard it's something he needs to work on. But I guarantee you, wherever the truth is, he's better than Antonio Gibson.
Oh, yeah, he is.
because of that mentality and that physicality. When you watch Antonio Gibson play, when you watched him in college, he ran physically. But when you watch him in pass protection, he is not physical. And when you watch him in the league now, he's physical, yeah, but Brian Robinson's a different level of physical. Right. And I'll be honest with you, Tay. Brian Robinson ran a 4.55. Now that's similar to that's actually almost exactly what Derrick Henry ran. Now I'm not comparing him to Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry pulls away from guys. It feels like Derrick Henry is faster than that. Yeah. I am not convinced that Antonio Gibson now is a 4.3 guy anymore because he's added some weight clearly, and maybe it's the injuries on top of that. I don't know. But I think his 40 time is closer to Robinson. But when I watch Robinson run with his 4.45, he looks faster than Gibson did last year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen 4.3 speed from Gibson. I guess you could say on the screen in the Buffalo game. But so I think that Robinson is going to bring more explosiveness to the running game. Because if there's one thing we can all agree on, Tay, the running offense has not been explosive as long as Gibson has been the starting running back. And I know at first he's learning the position. Yeah, okay, great. Last year, he didn't take the step forward that I wanted. 1,000 yards in 17 games is 58 yards a game. So it sounds good on paper, but he left a lot of yards out there, and his fumbles were killers. Mm-hmm. So his longest run of the season was 27 yards. And his longest that was called back because the penalty was 37. So let's not get carried away with that either.
Mm. So what do you think? Just an early take.
Yeah.
You think Robinson who do you think will lead the team in rushing? Just an early take.
Man, I'm gonna go with the hot take and say Robinson, whether it's because of injuries or whatever else. I think Brian Robinson is gonna just come in and he's gonna press guys, and then when he gets his opportunities to play, I think he's gonna just look different. Like Tay, when you watch other running backs in the NFL, some of the good ones and they don't have to be great, just like the great ones, and then just some of the good ones. Then you go back and you watch Washington's running offense. There's a clear difference. There's a clear lack of explosiveness and burst to the whole. Brian Robinson, I think, will bring you that. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know how dynamic he can be ultimately. That's the question, is how dynamic he can be. But I think at least he can be a good bruising running back for you for, if nothing else, the 4 years you've got him under contract. Right. Because odds are you're not really going to pay. He'd have to be really dynamic to consider paying really any running back these days. But I like the pick.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get tricky. I mean, Gibson, he
6 fumbles.
He's going to have to figure something out this year.
He's the one who needs to be holding that football that Jahan Dotson has. I need to see Gibson holding that football. He was holding his child, hold that child like a football. The fumbling cannot, because after he fumbled so many times, he's still holding the ball loose. You didn't see a difference. And when Gibson would fumble, he would come back out, and multiple times if he next play he's catching the ball, he's dropping it because he's in his head. So,
and the thing with Gibson is they would put Patterson in, but they couldn't sit Gibson for a long amount of time.
Right. No, they
punish
couldn't.
Him because at the end of the day, they needed him.
Right, exactly.
Now that's not the case.
Not anymore.
If he fumbles, this man Robinson will finish the
Yeah,
game. Like, he'll
exactly.
finish it to the point where next week it's like, do we start Robinson next
Exactly, exactly. And the great thing about Brian Robinson, and because you've got your change of pace back in J.D. McKissick, right? You look at like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they're not really different styles. Like they are similar styles of running back. And I understand wanting different styles. I get that. That's fair. But to me, Robinson is more of a bruiser than Gibson, and McKissick is more of a change of pace than Gibson. Gibson's in the middle. He's not really a change of pace, but he's not the bruiser, not at the level you want. And I think what Washington wants to do, I hope, at least what I want them to do on offense, is to score points through the air, get ahead, and then close out games on the ground, right? And Robinson is the type of running back that wears on a defense. Guys get tired of coming in there and hitting that guy, right? 220 plus 30 pounds, 6'2", 4.5 speed. He's not easy to bring down. And he was playing against a Georgia defense that had, a Georgia team that had 15 players drafted. I think 9 on defense, and he's just shrugging them off. So that's NFL talent that he's doing that to. He did this in the SEC. He didn't do this, in the Mountain West or in the FCS. So he fits in line with, I think, what their vision is, but definitely what I want their vision to be, which is score through the air, finish on the ground.
Yep.
So I like the pick.
I really like the pick. I'm glad they got this type of back. Home run to me. Home run pick.
Let's move on to round 4. Percy Butler Jr. This one was another one that I didn't love, but it's tough to love a pick when you don't know much about the player, right? He had 4.3 speed, right? So he's a safety who has a 4.36 speed, which is what you love if you want him as a center fielder. Ron Rivera, when asked about the Buffalo nickel, brought him up. So it seems like, I guess they'll figure out where he's best. Is he best on the back end? Is he best in the box? Don't forget, Cam Curl can play that Buffalo nickel. And maybe Percy Butler's your strong or something like that. But he was a guy who kind of consensus was being viewed as being overdrafted. I do want to read Chris Sims' tweet. Now, take that for what it is worth. For what it's worth, Chris Sims is, got some interesting takes on things. He's got a full breakdown. I need to watch that. He said the Commanders got the best pure free safety in the NFL draft in Percy Butler. A dude has tremendous range in center field. He is very good in all areas of coverage, let alone he has 3 rockets up his butt and can fly. He is not all coverage. He's a very good tackler too. He sounds like a free safety. And a free safety is not a Buffalo player. Now that's fine. That's not a problem because, again, Cam Curl can be your Buffalo. That's where he made his name his rookie season. Honestly, there's more value, in my opinion, in Butler developing as a free safety, right? That's what they've been trying to fix since Sean Taylor. 4.3 speed. He played hurt last year. Last year, he had 6 tackles for loss, 1 interception, but he played hurt. And I think that was something that they admired about him because he still played well, but he was, fighting through it and not really making much bones about it. So that's one where that's probably the pick I have to wait and see the most of these earlier round picks, like 7th round, obviously. But of the 1st through 5th round picks, Percy Butler is the one I need to wait and see the most because I love his speed. Troy Apke had great speed. Now, never mind. But Troy Apke had great speed. But Percy Butler clearly has traits you can work with, and in the 4th round, that's good enough for me. Traits that you can work with. Right, first 3 rounds, I want production and I want immediate help. 4th to 7th, I'm cool with traits and guys you can work with. So I'm cool with it, but I can't say I love it because I really don't know enough about the guy.
Yeah, they said he was good in special teams, right? But
he's a great. I forgot it. Yes, he's a very good special teamer too. Which there's obviously value in that. You pull up his highlights, and the first several clips are of him as a gunner.
Well, hey, I mean, I'll take that. Personally, I know Ron is excited. Ron seems excited about him, a guy who kind of didn't get acknowledged, because of injuries and because of the conference he was in.
Right.
I have my reservations. If my expectations for him, if he could free up Cam Curl to put Cam Curl back in that Buffalo nickel, a little bit, down the stretch, then I'll be okay with it. Like I said, we need a free safety, but Todd, where I'm trying to catch myself here is where I'm trying to be realistic.
Right.
Because
you got to be realistic.
How many picks will we actually hit on?
Well, that's the thing, Tate. That's the thing. So, no one wants to talk about that, but I'm fine with having that conversation because of the top 6 picks, a great draft would be hitting on 4 of them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, is it possible to hit on at least 6?
I don't know if it's possible. We need to go back, honestly, some episode and look back at teams' draft classes and see kind of what a good hit rate is, what the best possible hit rate is. 6 for 6 in rounds 1 through 5. I guess it determines on first of all what you determine as a hit,
right,
and then. But I mean, to me, Percy Butler has the potential to be, hey, he's really good on special teams, and that's it. And as a 4th rounder, he has to be very, very, very good on special teams. Right. He wouldn't be a bust. There would just have probably been better players in the board that you could have gotten, right? I definitely think he has potential for that, but because he kind of seems like more of a Trey T pick. Also, I don't know that if you ask me my opinion today, I don't think he will play a lot this year on defense as opposed to special teams. I think there's a chance Landon Collins comes back. If Landon Collins comes back, I think he's your Buffalo. Cam is your strong. McCain is your free. And Butler's backing McCain up, right? You still have Reeves. You don't have DeShazer Everett, right? Yeah, exactly. Development, which is fine for a 4th round pick. And he's your gunner out there with 4.3 speed. Across from him is Troy Apke, also with 4.3 speed. So you're putting an emphasis on special teams, which I like because the Redskins, Washington football team, Commanders have not had good special teams in a long time. But I think that, I don't really have expectations for him becoming a very good defensive player, but because some of these guys just have to not work out.
Right.
But 4.3 speed.
My biggest thing with him is you see the team like the Ravens and the Rams and any good team for that matter, Steelers, they're always having a guy in the fold without having to go out to the open market and find a guy. So I'm hoping this Percy Butler can be a guy a year from now, show some flashes this year in special teams, but in a year from now, we have a big injury or we let McCain go and he can just step right in and fill in and produce just as much as McCain. So special teams for me this year, Ron seems to be excited about him. I think this will be a redshirt year for him. You still have Derek Forrest, Defoe.
I'll tell you what.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, what the significance with which Derek Forrest was fooled on that one play in the preseason, I got to be honest with you, man. I think I'm out. But all right, let's move on to the next pick, which is the one that will get the most talk, which is Sam Howell. My question is this on Sam Howell. Okay, so I was going back again. I don't want to sound like a know-it-all. So I'll just say the best 5th round quarterback to be drafted in the last 30 years and maybe ever is Mark Brunell, right? Now here's the thing, Tay. Is Sam Howell the best 5th round quarterback prospect ever? That's the question. Because Sam Howell was not supposed to be, ask any and everybody, and Sam Howell was not supposed to be a 5th round pick. Came into the season potentially being a top 10 pick, right? Ended last season as one of the top players in the country. And then didn't play horribly this year. Just didn't play as well as he did his first 2 years. And now he's a 5th rounder in a class where all the quarterbacks slid further than people expected. Rivera didn't expect him to be there. So he is a 5th round pick, but is he the best 5th round quarterback prospect ever taken in the draft is my question. And I love the potential. Realistically, Tay, there is a very, very low % chance that Sam Howell develops into a franchise quarterback. There's a 2% chance, okay? But hey, we're going to hold on to that 2% because the guy is extremely talented. And regardless of whether or not he works out, you had to take him. It's a great value. It's a great pick. And even if he's just a good backup, it's still a really good pick.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts. I love the and Sam Howell's a little. I thought he was all polished. He can be polished when he needs to, but that code can switch. That was very surprising to see. We up though. Go ahead. Yeah, we up. Hey, to put the boys back together.
Hey, man. Sam Howell is a pick where I thought they were going to go a little bit earlier, but finding him in that 5th round. I mean, this is a guy in 2020 was arguably being talked about as the number 1 pick. I mean, I remember you and I specifically saying, if we can get Sam Howell,
yes,
we would be,
right.
And the fact that we have him in the 5th round is
right. It's crazy. He's got. I mean, the last 3 years, he's thrown for some of the most yards and most touchdowns in all of college football.
Yeah.
He's got records in the ACC.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Man,
and on that list is Deshaun Watson,
and Trevor Lawrence, yeah,
Phillip
exactly.
Rivers,
Right.
and it's like one other
He's in
bust.
great company. Great company. So
92 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, 27 interceptions, I
I
think.
think, yeah, and like, um,
11,000
okay,
yards.
I wanted to say 11,000, but that sounded kind of wild. But it is 11,000, right? Because he threw for like 4 back to back, and then
Mm-hmm.
3 this year, and then added 800 rushing yards and I think 11 rushing touchdowns. Let me double check that one. But that's that pick. I mean, and here's my thing, Tate. Now this is what I believe. Okay, I don't believe in the the developmental quarterback, and this is what I mean when I say that. Kirk Cousins is the last quarterback to be drafted out. Now, when I say this, I mean outside of the first round. I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins was the last quarterback drafted outside of the first round who did not start earlier than way earlier than expected. And when he did start, didn't look amazing. Now that one game he started for against the Browns in 2012, he did look good,
It
right?
looked good. Yeah.
And then he got his chance to start 2013 into the year and didn't look great. Got his chance to start 2014, got benched. And then 2015 really. So he's the first one to really kind of not start early, go up and down, and then just become very good.
Mm-hmm.
But Dak Prescott started his rookie year, not intentionally, but he did. He was good enough to. Russell Wilson won the starting job over Matt Flynn. Like Derek Carr started his rookie year. Who else is there? Those are the main guys taken outside of the first round, right? Who else? I mean, Tom Brady started way earlier than expected for a 6th round pick. And there are others. Those are the main ones. So for Sam Howell, when I say I don't believe in the developmental quarterback, I am saying we should know pretty early on, based off of reports out of camp, based off of preseason, based off of whatever, that there is something there. And if not, then that means just that probably not. Because I don't believe Kirk Cousins is the only one we've really seen go from not great to becoming really good.
Right.
But the rest of them, they come out the gate and they get better, but they start off way better than where they were drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. So, yeah, that's where I stand on the. Jalen Hurts is kind of another one. I mean, he hasn't been great, but he played his rookie year when Carson Wentz was supposed to be the guy still, and he didn't look terrible. So, we should know sooner than later on Sam Howell.
And that's what I'm scared of. That's why I kind of don't want him.
You don't want to.
In preseason, I kind of want to just let him hey, just chill. Just chill.
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna light it up with the run game. I mean, he was the number 3 dual threat quarterback coming out of high school when he first came out.
Yeah,
I heard. So
dual threat.
I mean, yeah, dual
wow,
threat.
That's crazy. He's got some wheels, man.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what the team does with him. I love the position he's in. I love the fact that he said when he said he loves Carson. I mean, he looks up to those guys. Heineke, so it doesn't seem like there'd be any conflict in the quarterback room. He looks like a guy that just wants to learn. He said he wanted to be.
He wanted to be a commander. Yeah, he said this is where he wanted to be all along. I'm like, why?
Scott Turner, Ron Rivera, Marty Herney, all guys who came from Carolina. So I'm sure he went to Panthers.
Yeah, right. They were scouting De'Ami Brown. Yeah, they probably had the book written up on Sam Howell largely.
That's what I'm saying. And you give Scott Zampese, wasn't he with Baker Mayfield for a little bit?
He was with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, during his best year, really.
Yeah. So look, you never know, man. You get a Sam Howell in there. And
you never know.
Let him just sit in the oven for a couple of years.
Gotta get lucky, man.
Ideally, I would love for Carson Wentz to finish out his contract, and then she didn't sign Howell. 23, 24.
I think that if he's the one, he's playing before then, because the good ones always end up playing. They always end up playing. I think if he's the one,
Carson Wentz being
just that much better.
Yeah,
I think that if Howell has it, he's not sitting for long at all. I won't say this year, but
if
next year,
you may not see Carson resign.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, right.
If he has it,
if he has it, I'm saying,
we'll
know. Yeah, they'll know. They'll see him in practice. You'll hear stuff, and obviously the games are different. But I think if he has it, we'll know.
Getting $28 million off the books,
that would be fantastic.
On a money contract
on the cheapest, one of the cheapest deals. Yeah, that's the dream scenario. I mean, one of these days we got to get lucky, right? One of these days we have to it just has to work out for us one time, right? So
my concerns about him is his height. I'm really concerned, but I'm hoping he can be like a Russell Wilson I'm
Right,
kind of,
right, definitely.
that's what I'm hoping. So,
Yeah, I agree. He's his running style doesn't translate to the league in terms of putting up really good rushing numbers, but in terms of being a threat that you have to account for, it does. You can run read option with him. He can scramble. I wish he was better on scramble drill. He's not terrible. I wish he was better, but to me, Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis were the two really good ones on scramble drill coming out this year. But he's coming from a downfield, passing focused offense. North Carolina. That's what the Commanders want to be here. He's got the arm for it, and so yeah, man. The preseason is going to be. It'll be cool to watch. It'll be cool to watch him. It's cool having a guy as your third quarterback who, sure, the odds are low, but you still have that slim chance that maybe he could develop into something because he is not a fifth-round talent. I'm not an NFL evaluator. I never will be, but he is not a fifth-round talent. There's no way. So
what if he comes out preseason 6 touchdowns? 0.
I think you still got to start Carson.
I mean, yeah, obviously,
but man, it won't be great for him. It won't be great for Carson because it'll be people will be talking. The most popular player will always be the backup quarterback unless Carson wins too. If he wins, people won't talk about how. If he's not winning, people will say throw the rookie out there. They were talking about throwing who was the last developmental quarterback we had, undrafted free agent? Steven Montez. Just let him out there. Okay, and he never, looked good. So that's a really good pick. We can, I guess, move on now to the next fifth-round pick. So they turned drafting at 11 into drafting Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson, Sam Howell, and then Cole Turner. Cole Turner is a really exciting name. 6'7", former receiver who switched positions to tight end, has all the catch radius in the world. He's a 4'7" guy, so he's not the fastest. He definitely will need to learn how to become a bit more proficient in terms of route running. But in terms of being a receiving tight end, he is that. And I think that he will be able to help you in that role, leaking out the backside motion, spider 2-eye banana, in the flat. Some situations where he's open by design, catch and run, or if you've got him one-on-one against a 5'10" DB and you throw it up to him. I like the Cole Turner pick. They needed to add a tight end, and I like that pick.
Yeah, well, Cole Turner, I didn't really know much about him. I didn't really look. I was on the Isaiah Likely.
Right.
Jelani Woods,
Okonkwo, Trey McBride. Yeah.
So I didn't see much. I mean, I knew they had went out to on the way to Drake London.
Okay,
they went to see
Nevada.
Right.
Carson Strong.
Yeah, and I thought that was for Carson Strong, and
they end up with
Cole Turner.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Scott likes him a lot.
Mm-hmm. The big, 6'7" receiving tight end. If you watch Carson Strong just enough, you're going to be like, who is this number 19 that he keeps throwing to? So that's where I learned about Cole Turner, not from looking up Cole Turner, from watching Carson Strong. Right. And just continuing to see Cole Turner with this long hair continuing to pop up on the screen and catching everything. So it's kind of nice when you find out about guys that way, where they pop up to they stand out to you when they weren't the target of what you were looking for. So I think it was a solid pick in the 5th round. And the 5th round, getting a solid tight end is not crazy. It's not unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the best ones there, George Kittle.
3rd, 4th, 5th. Kittle was a 5th.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And the thing where it's going to get scary for Logan Thomas is he's going to have a whole off season to work with Cole Turner and Bates.
Yeah.
And
Reyes.
It's going to be interesting. And Reyes. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out if Logan Thomas can regain that spot.
Right.
I mean, he's recovering from a torn ACL. And Carson's going to have all off season to throw the ball to him. And if Carson likes him.
Yeah. No, I mean, because, Logan Thomas probably not practicing until he may not practice all off season. So the tight ends that will be running with the ones will be John Bates and Cole Turner. So, they'll get those reps early on. And I like that. I mean, you're starting the season with the second-year guy and a rookie, a fifth-round pick, a couple of fourth and fifth rounders. It's not ideal, but I'm kind of at tight end. I'm more okay with playing the young guys early. Tight end is not. It's great to have a really good tight end, but it's not a premier position. And you got John Bates as the blocker. You got Cole Turner as the end line. So, yeah, that's a solid duo they have there. And then Logan Thomas hopefully can be ready to start the season so that you don't have to rely on those guys. But I think that Cole Turner has more upside than John Bates as a one. As a tight end one.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then I'm looking forward to how they use them in the red zone and everything else too.
Exactly. They get those mismatches because 6'7", man, taller than a lot of defensive backs.
Him and Logan back, it's like, whoa.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So, because they're similar types, similar body types, similar receiving types. We can kind of go through the 7th round picks real quick. I'll be honest with you, Tay. The cornerback who they drafted in the 7th round, I know nothing about, so I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about him. And the offensive lineman who they drafted, he's big, he's massive. He was a tackle. He's probably going to go inside at guard. He is also a singer. So he has a music video. You can look that up. Sorry, I don't remember the name of it, but he's a musician. And so he projects more to guard and guard depth. These are guys who most likely practice squad candidates, right? So I don't know a whole lot about them. And then
his RAS score is pretty good.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, and I know we got a great guru at offensive line. I like what Ron's building with the offensive line.
Yes.
We make mention of the Trey Turner
pickup
today. He's really good at having people in the fold.
Yeah.
I know we all pick on Sadiq Charles, but I'm glad that we have a Sadiq Charles and have to sign someone off the street. He's really good at being able to develop these guys, and although they may not be good,
they're not bad, right? Yeah, exactly. It's clear that they feel kind of like how the Steelers and Packers do about wide receiver. Like, we can find these guys anywhere in the draft and coach them up. I think that's kind of Rivera's MO, and with Matsko, where, hey, we don't need to spend the 5th overall pick on a guard. Right. We can take them wherever, and they can be good for us, and we're not going to pay them crazy money. We're going to just find another one and replace them. I'm cool with that, Tay. I'm cool with the revolving door at offensive line of guys who are performing really well enough. It'd be great to have that, Cowboys offensive line, but if you can just give me a top 16, top 12 offensive line, man, I'm cool with that, where you're not breaking the bank on these guys, and that's where they are right now. I like it. That mentality.
And they have a lot of flexibility. Like, a lot of guys can play different positions, which in the beginning, I'm like, how are they going to do it? But now we look at that roster, and even Ishmael, he hasn't been good, but he filled in pretty well.
He wasn't terrible. He wasn't terrible. Yeah. He was, which one was it? He struggled more in, he was not bad. And I think in pass pro, run blocking was, I think, where he struggled more.
He was terrible.
Right. Okay. So pass pro, he was able to hold his own a bit better. Run blocking, I'm like 90% sure I'm not getting that wrong. Yeah. So
the thing with that's end game experience. So, like, next year, if that same situation occurs, he's able to fill in, and we won't be. We'll be like, we don't have our starting center. But, we'll have a guy that just can fill in. Like, all last year, that was the theme. People just filling in.
Yep. Next man up.
Doing what they needed to do.
And what they were doing with what they had, being, so deep on their depth at offensive line, they still weren't a terrible offensive line. They were still, they were not the reason the team was struggling to win games. Right. And then on a similar note, I think they want guys who can move. You look, they were really, really struggled and have struggled getting the screen game going here. And I think if you go back and you watch, and obviously, I'm not the biggest Brandon Scherff fan, but this is not biased. He was really not good, at least last year, out in space, getting to the second level on screens and blocking guys. And I think it was kind of the same thing on the other side with Flowers, where you liked what he presented, but when you needed him to move out in space on like a screen, they really had a lot of trouble getting those screens to go. That 73-yard one to Gibson was one of the few running back screens that really, really worked. And I think what they wanted in Norwell and Turner, I think what they're looking for in guys like Chris Paul, who ran a 4.8. Who ran a 4.89? Was that Paul or Fedarian Mathis? Let me look that up real quick. So, but yeah, I think they are looking for more athleticism and guys who can get out in space on the offensive line. So let me pull this up real quick. I think it was Chris Paul, man.
I know Mathis ran a 4.82, 4.89, 4.89.
Mathis. Okay,
Yeah.
that was that at his. I guess that was at his pro day. I can't just look up Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Let me type in Chris Paul Commanders. Um, was he even at the combine? Let's see. I'll find that. But there's athleticism there. Oh yes, he did. I knew I wasn't tripping. Tate, 323 pounds, ran a 4.89.
Wow. Wow.
So that athleticism
He
is
can develop
real.
into a good, I mean, he can develop to it.
And yeah, finding a solid guard in the seventh is not crazy. So like for me, yeah, it's like there's certain positions I'm targeting in those later rounds where there's a higher hit rate. Like
Right.
quarterback in the sixth and seventh, guaranteed. You're not going to find a franchise quarterback.
Mhm.
You'd have to find Tom Brady. But a guard, there's a decent chance you can find a good, not great, not all pro, not Pro Bowler, but a good starting cheap guard for you for a number of years. So
Right.
solid pick. And check out his music video.
Yeah.
That's what I've got, Tay, on the draft class. Just as an overview, I would give it a B plus. I would give it a B plus.
Yeah, I would give it a B.
Okay.
B. I want to give it an A.
I'm surprised I like it more than you.
Yeah, I want to give it an A, but I'm gonna give it a B for now. I'm excited for this preseason because we have so many young talent, so much young talent.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
It's going to be so cool. Like I can literally watch the whole game now. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Game,
right.
See guys that I can actually root for. You know.
Yeah.
So, like Sam Howell is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, people are going to tune in more in the fourth quarter than they did in the first quarter.
Him and Diami is going to be cool. You know, I'm hoping they can get that connection back. You know, so I'm excited, man. I'm just glad we don't have to go into the season next year with what's his name against Philly. If we were to get
Garrett Gilbert.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no. Just like a player where you just know it's like there's nothing there. There's nothing there, and you know your third string quarterback is usually that. But it's nice having someone we want to watch, right? And just I told you this. Now this is dreaming. Now I'm not usually the optimist. I don't think I'm a pessimist. I think I'm a realist, hey. But I'm just gonna dream here for a second. Imagine if Sam Howell was your lottery ticket that you finally won. All right. Cole Turner develops into a good tight end. Jahan Dotson develops into a good receiver. Robinson becomes your bruiser back. And then with Terry McLaurin and this is, a good offensive line, you have a young core of offensive weapons. Just imagine that. Yeah. And if this draft class was the one that brought all that, just imagine how amazing that would be. Now that's a dream. I don't think that happens. It's not likely, but just imagine if it did. Imagine if Sam Howell just came out just really looking good, and God forbid Carson Wentz, anything, whatever. But imagine if Sam Howell is forced to play and comes in and, hey, this kid's looking good, that would be amazing. So I want Carson Wentz to start all season. If he starts all season, that means he's playing pretty well, and they should be able to win at least 9 games. 10 games and be in the playoffs, but I'm excited to see Sam Howell play.
Yeah. So I just want, like I said, we've never, like, stuff like this would never happen to us.
No.
I'm just hoping that we have our guy already on the roster.
Maybe it's because we're the Commanders now.
Yeah, I'm hoping, man, because that never happens. A guy falls, that should not be there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe if, like I said, that 5th round contract, if they see, like, if we hear reports in rookie mini, I want to hear reports rookie minicamp. I heard someone say today, it was yesterday, I was watching something. I think it was ESPN, and I think it was during the draft, and they said that how he improved from the end of the season to the combine.
Yeah.
And how he was working on the deep ball.
Lewis Riddick, I think.
Lewis Riddick. And that showed me right there, like, this guy, he's going to do everything he can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm excited to see him play. It's a solid. They favored the offense more heavily, which is what I wanted. They added weapons at all the skill positions on offense, which is what I wanted, and depth at quarterback. So all in all, I'll give the draft a B plus. If Fedarian Mathis, really, he's the one. Percy Butler, I don't really, Yeah. But if Fedarian Mathis becomes a really good defensive tackle for you, then I think you really nailed this class, assuming everyone else kind of fills in where they're supposed to. So that's how I feel, Tay.
Right. I'm just ready for the schedule drop now, and then
Yeah, 10 days. 10 days to the schedule
see some
drop.
pictures of the guys at OTAs, and man,
Yeah, mini camp, OTAs. It's kind of going to happen fast, and then you're going to have rookie mini camp. You're going to have OTAs. You're going to have mini camp, and then let me see if I can find the dates for that. And then you'll get that really that once mini camp ends, which probably is towards early June.
Yeah.
You'll have like a close to a 2-month period where we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs, coming up with stuff. So here it is. OTAs May 23rd to the 26th, May 31st to June 2nd, June 6th to June 8th, mandatory minicamp June 14th to 16th. So really about 6 weeks between the mandatory minicamp and the actual minicamp starting. They don't have rookie minicamp on here, but rookie minicamp is probably...
They haven't announced it yet.
Okay, but it's going to be real soon, like within the next couple weeks, I'm sure. That usually happens pretty fast. So definitely before May 23rd. I would think rookie minicamp will be next week. So
yeah, and they got their back. I mean, Howell's gonna have a blast at rookie minicamp. He got his running back, he got his tight end, he got his first round pick receiver.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited today. Nothing really that happened in this draft moved the needle for me in terms of my expectations this year, winning or losing. I still really am expecting at least 9 wins because of the schedule, because of just what they have. They should be able. Well, I'll say I'm not expecting. They should absolutely win at least 9 games. Yeah. That is less than that, failure. They should be good enough. And considering the significance with how their difficulty of their schedule has changed, they should be able to win 9 games. And if these rookies, if 2, 3, 4 of these rookies come in and make an immediate impact, absolutely. Because you look at it today, and the good teams, the rookies come in and they get off the ground, get on the ground, start running. So that's all I got.
Yeah, this it didn't move from 9 wins to me. I think it just solidified it.
Okay. Feel better about it.
But if our draft class next year produces along with this, you might have something. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get this show started. I mean, we're almost there. May, June, July, August, and then September, man.
May, June, July. Honestly, once training camp starts, I'm not like I'm good. Like I have enough to hold me over. So it's May, June, and July. 3 months to get us through. Cool. We can do this. It's kind of going by faster than usual, is it not? It is. Okay. All right. Because last year felt really slow. And this year feels like, okay, we got to the draft kind of fast. Okay. All right. Cool. Time to start scouting next year's. Nah. Now is the time where you go back and you watch every game from last year, you know? Okay. Cool. Great talking to you as always, Tay. We will check in again with more episodes later this week. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. This is Todd.
This is Tay.